everybody, and welcome back to the Washed Athlete Podcast. We are essentially a group of guys. There's 5 of us, but there's only 3 on today. We essentially talk about sports, movies, TV, anything we really feel like talking about. We're just a bunch of college kids, so we're out here just living our life. School started recently, but today is going to be a little bit of a different episode. Typically, we would just talk about kind of like things that happened in the week or topics that were on our mind, but today we are going to purely talk about The Boys. I finished The Boys about 2-3 days ago, and Andres and Raj have been done for a long time, so we figured there was no better time than to break down The Boys, because I think it's definitely on like the top of everyone's favorite shows at the moment, right?
No question.
Yes.
So if you haven't heard about The Boys, this is probably not the episode for you, but if you want to listen to it, we'll kind of describe what it is a little bit. And if you have, then you can just continue listening. So The Boys is essentially a TV show about a bunch of superheroes who kind of like go to company. They are working as part of companies. It's very like capitalist. Like, what if superheroes were corrupt? What if they were branded and stuff like that? And then there's a group of people that want to take them down because, as you will see when watching it, they're very corrupt and bad people. That's kind of feels like the general baseline of what The Boys is, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
I would say, in even simpler terms, superheroes meet capitalism. United States of America.
What if superheroes were privatized? There you go.
Yep. So very, I don't know. It feels like a simple concept, but when you watch it, you see how many layers there are to it, which is one of the cool things about it. So, again, if you haven't watched The Boys and you don't want it spoiled for you at this point, I would not continue watching. We don't have many spoiler-free thoughts because there's spoilers like every single 5 minutes of the show.
Yes.
Because big things happen all the time. So, again, if you care, stop watching. If you don't care and you just want to kind of hear about it and what happens as we kind of detail through each season, keep watching. We'll love to have you. So I guess going into general thoughts, I'll start with you, Andres. What are your general thoughts about the show? Impressions, just what are you thinking about The Boys?
Yeah, I mean, one thing about The Boys that it's not really specific to the show, but it's that it's cool to see something that's not DC or Marvel really get this much traction and just fame and popularity, and it's just something different. We haven't really seen anything like this before, because with the MCU, we're used to lighthearted, classic superhero-esque movies and TV shows, and this is just wow. It's more real, because if I genuinely believe if superheroes were real, we would probably get something like that, honestly. I think that's probably what we get in our world, and it's pretty cool to see that, visually, and just what I love about the show is that it's not really plot driven. It's more, it's character driven completely, because there's not the goal by the end of the season is to do X and Y. It's rather something comes up with the character. That's just what keeps the plot going forward, and I think that's really fun.
Raj, yeah, thoughts on The Boys?
Where do I start with The Boys? I mean, the day I came back from Jersey, I was introduced to The Boys by Jacob, and he specifically made me watch the first scene. And
yes.
that was quite honestly, it reeled me in a lot, and after slowly going through it and watching The Boys and everything, it's at first you're oh, this is a really cool concept, and then it starts tackling a bunch of underlying themes present throughout the entire show, and it's really cool to see. I'm also a big Attack on Titan fan, and the underlying story in that too. It's nice to see shows have a very prominent underlying theme, instead of the Marvel algorithm sometimes of just okay, insert new hero, and then let's just make some rudimentary hero's journey for them, and then underdeveloped villain that they're probably going to beat, because we're not going to have another Thanos level threat for another 4 years. So it's kind of it's just refreshing to kind of get stuff like that, and they're not holding back. I would love to see Iron Man put a missile through someone and them show it, but The Boys did it for me, so it works.
Yeah, I mean, I think refreshing is totally the right word. There are going to be some people who maybe watch this who are going to think that we don't understand that these are based on comics that are pretty old. I do understand that, but just saying based on translation media, I don't really factor the Marvel comics into what I think about the MCU, so I'm not going to factor the Boys comics into here. So refreshing is the right word, because in Marvel you don't see anything gory. You don't see anything that's like super like unfiltered. Like again, if you haven't watched The Boys, language is off. Like there's no like language. Like watch. They don't watch their words. It's really gory. There's a lot of like sexual scenes in it and whatnot. So they don't really hold back, which is like again refreshing, like Andres and Raj said, because we don't see that in media. And then I think the best thing it does, and Andres kind of touched on this, is The Boys is such like they have such good characters, and you care about the characters, and they spend a lot of time on them. So they don't seem inconsequential, and like you hate the characters you're supposed to hate, you root for the characters you are supposed to root for. And even small side characters, like they find a way to make them like quirky and funny and weird that they're memorable. There's a character at one point who his name is Love Sausage, and he essentially wraps his long penis around someone's neck. And it's like he's in the show for like, I don't know, maybe a total of 2 minutes of screen time, but like they find ways to make these small characters really memorable, and that's what's really cool about The Boys. So it's a really cool show. It's definitely not for everyone. If you're not into gore and like rough language or just like hard hitting like a very serious show, like if that's not your speed, like totally understandable. It's not going to be for you, because every episode there's a lot of gore. Every episode something bad is happening. So again, not for everyone, but I think for a lot of people you'll find it refreshing. And I think it's almost a piece of media that like people should see. Like you have Marvel, which almost everyone has probably seen. At least one Marvel movie or one Marvel show, and you watch The Boys and you realize how different it is. So I think if you have the opportunity to watch it, at least give one episode a shot, which I think would hook you in, because we'll talk about it a little bit as we break down the seasons. But like the first episode, there's just some crazy stuff that happens in it, and you want to see it paid off. And that's kind of what The Boys does. Like it constantly like brings up plot lines. Like there's plot lines that come up at the end of season 1 that carry over into season 2. And they're not even like completed, or there's not like a cliffhanger. Like they just haven't figured them out. Like we'll get into it, but like the deep, like you don't really, have a conclusion. It doesn't have a conclusion.
The peak, not just the
like,
deep.
No,
the deep doesn't have like a conclusion to his storyline. He's not left on a cliffhanger at season 1. Like you simply just like, they don't finish the storyline because they're like, they know they're going to continue. And you see a little bit of that in season 3 as well. So they don't leave you on a cliffhanger. They don't like kill off his character or anything. They're just like, yeah, you'll see him again and figure out what happens. And they just keep carrying these storylines on. And then of another note, before we like really get into it, it's really refreshing to see them make fun of superheroes, because, and we've talked about this a lot, as like with Raj, Andres, Jacob, Peter, we all talk about it. Like the names of these superheroes are ridiculous. So again, if you haven't watched The Boys, common names of these superheroes include the Deep, who swims underwater. He's like Aquaman.
He's a creepy Aquaman, and yeah, Aquaman's already like, weird.
Yeah, but he's like the Deep. Starlight, you like can control light. Like what a stupid name. Black Noir.
Black is my favorite.
Noir is black in another language, so it's really black.
It's black.
Yep, black. What are some other ones? Translucent is invisible. Well, he's not invisible, but he's
not. Forget about A-Train.
Oh yeah,
A-Train.
A-Train takes a trip to Africa.
We'll get into that. But yeah, like they just have really stupid, and we're missing some. Like Homelander's even a stupid name for like the most powerful like Superman of the show. Stormfront like shoots lightning out of her hands. Like
Soldier Boy.
So yeah, we forgot Soldier Boy.
Crimson Countess.
Mindstorm.
What was the little sidekick called?
The gun. You're talking about the gun one?
Soldier Boy, the guy with the gun.
Gunpowder.
Gunpowder. Yeah.
Who are the explosive twins?
TNT twins. So again, some people watching, you won't get the context of this, but these are just some of the superhero names, and all their powers like are very predictable based on like what we say. Like Soldier Boy like is Captain America, and Gunpowder is really good with guns. Like big shocker. So it's just really funny, and like honestly, like I remember when I wasn't watching and Raj and Andres were talking about The Boys, I was like, honestly, like the superhero names kind of like turn me off a little bit. Like they're just like making a joke of the whole thing. But you quickly forget how stupid these names are. Like mid-show, you just acknowledge it. Like now, I'm just like, yeah, Starlight. That's Annie. Just Starlight. So it goes by pretty quickly. But unless anyone has anything else, I think we will move into kind of talking about season 1, some important details that happen, and like going through that. So I believe it is the opening scene of season 1. Instantly, again, spoilers, you have one of the superheroes, A-Train, sprint right through Robin, which is Huey's girlfriend.
They say that Robin got a train ran on her.
Well, no, A-Train ran through her.
Yeah, literally ran through. Like, you see in the show, like, Huey's holding just the one arm of Robin as the rest of her body has exploded because A-Train literally was super sped through her. And at that point in the show, you're just like, you are thrown into it so fast because you're just like I was literally like, what? Like, you don't even know how to react.
Yeah. It's so funny just seeing new, like it happened, like Jacob got to witness it with me and Raj and Peter of just seeing that scene, and then I got to relive it with some other friends back home, and it's great because as one of my friends back home, we put it on for him to watch. Like a bunch of us had already seen it, and we put it on for him. And as that, we're like, trust me, just watch the show. For 5 minutes in, this kid's jaw drops. He's looking around the room at everyone. We're all just laughing. He doesn't speak for 5 minutes, just looking around the room, and then his first word after those 5 minutes is "What?"
Yep. Just like, and it's not, again, it's a very gory show. So like, you just see like bone and flesh and just a hand sitting in Huey's hand, and you're just like, okay, and you just kind of move into it. And then again in the same episode, you have the Deep essentially like using his power to sexually coerce Starlight, and you're just like, again, I was just like, what? Like, in like one episode we've had someone get run through by a speedster, and then we pretty much have sexual assault in like one episode, and they just don't, they do not pull punches on this show. And episode 1 really does a good job of that. And again, you get introduced to the Deep, and whatnot, which just like, again, like introduction to some of these characters, just like, like the Deep is like an idiot, like such an idiot. And then again, you have like Black Noir who doesn't talk. And we meet Translucent, who has to walk around naked so that he can be like invisible. So they constantly have like jokes about him just like being naked, like he's chilling in the bathroom at some points, like naked, watching people, and just like a whole thing. So we have that, and then also, I think early on they kind of establish like what the plot is, which is good. Is it because they have Butcher kind of show up, great character, and then they kind of start to get the plot going a little bit, and you kind of know where this is going. I think probably by like the end of episode 2 or something, you know where the story is going, which is, as much of it is a character-driven show, I think overall, like, you know the plot from season 1 to whenever the end of the show is, Homelander is going to be killed. Like, that is where we're going with everything. So, like, it is being driven by one plot. Like, Thanos is collecting the Infinity Stones. It just depends, like, when we will get to the end and have that showdown.
In 20 years.
20 years?
Actually, I forget when the start of the... When did Iron Man come out?
We're actually talking
like,
about, okay.
It was like
no, I was just trying to figure out 10 years.
No, 11 years, because 2019.
Yeah. So, like, you get pretty established early that this is the end goal. And what's interesting, again, is Butcher is completely using Huey. Like, your first introduction is, like, he is using the hell out of this guy just to get his own personal gain.
Yep.
And I think that's just, like, the part of it. So I think, like, we kind of talked about some key points of like episode 1, episode 2, but like season 1 as a whole, like, what did you guys think about season 1?
I was creeped out at times with Homelander's whole relationship with
Madeline.
Yeah, that was very weird to see.
Yeah, his mommy kink was very, very odd.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things in season 1 where you're just like, what?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's just like the what drop moments, and there's a couple of them in there. I don't think I have any one writ down right now, but man, I can't talk.
I can get plenty.
Let's hear them.
So we start with Robin getting a train ran through her, or a train running through Robin, and then we have Translucent getting blown up by a bomb being put up his
butt.
Yeah. And then let's see. After that, let's see what else happened in season 1 that was gory. Didn't Home? Oh yeah, when Homelander decided to the plane scene with Queen Maeve.
Yep.
We had
Oh
that.
yeah, that was wild.
We also had Homelander brutally killed someone else too. I think. Well, multiple times that
Who did
season.
he not brutally kill?
That's also true.
Well, hold on. I think what moment is when he laser eyes Madeline Stitwell at the end of season one?
Yes, I was getting there.
Yes, I was gonna get. Yeah, I was gonna talk on that too.
That one was. We can save that for a little bit. But what other big deaths? Oh,
during
Top
season
Claw.
1. Oh my gosh, yeah.
A-Train, just making her OD.
Yeah, her literally sitting on someone and
Oh my god!
spiked.
I forgot that happened.
Ah.
Yeah.
getting spiked in the face.
It was
with
her
that.
landlord.
Yeah,
That was like a whole like. I think that entire like Pop Claw A-Train arc was like really well done because you kind of saw like how A-Train was conflicted between like getting his own like personal gain of being like the fastest man alive and his drug addiction to Compound V.
Mm-hmm.
But also how drug addiction affects your relationship. Because again, like Pop Claw was kind of like get off the V. And eventually like she like felt like she wasn't like close to him enough, so she ended up taking that drug, kills someone, and it gets extorted, and then A-Train ends up overdosing in the season 1 finale. Which I think that is like that's like season 1 definitely had the biggest like cliffhangers at the end of the episode because at the end of season 1,
oh my
you
god!
learn...
Wait, we forgot Kimiko just ending that gang.
Oh yeah,
Ripping the dude's face
ripping
off.
the dude's face off. Yeah,
Kimiko's also really well done.
She's
character.
awesome. She's awesome.
We'll get into that a little bit. But like at the end of season 1, like that cliffhanger is crazy because you figure out they're hiding Becca, and like the kid with Ryan. Like you learn that
his son didn't die. He wasn't like he was lied to.
Which was really like it threw me off at first because like, I said I didn't really know what was going on because they show like clips in the season of like Becca dying in childbirth. Like they show like her like pretty much her being ripped apart by this super hero trying to be born. So then I don't know why they really showed those clips if she was still alive. Like they could have just like not done that. I think it made it more confusing. But,
yeah. No, I totally agree. I was lost. I was definitely lost.
Because
they showed clips of her like dying or like losing a lot of blood. So maybe
I think that was done because it was the doctor's like it was the vision he was putting in Homelander's head.
Yeah,
and it kind of shows how Homelander's been played this entire time, and he's not really been told anything. I think that's
exactly.
What did it.
No, I agree. It was like his explanation being visualized on the screen.
I see that. Yeah, that makes sense. And then at the end again, you have A-Train like going into cardiac arrest because of his Compound V addiction. And yeah, that's like those are like the cliffhangers you live off on. Again, Madeline Stitwell gets like laser-eyed, dead. Like
Huey somehow pulls Starlight.
Like, yeah, but could you guys have predicted that like Homelander doing that at least in season 1? Like maybe I could see him doing that in later seasons, but in season 1, like him killing like the love of his life, like that
I
was
remember
wild.
saying when I was watching with Peter and you, I was like, it's either the baby or her. One of them is gonna get killed off.
I thought the baby, but like also
I mean, we all thought the baby.
Yeah, but because like that was his weak spot. That was Billy's trump card. Like I thought, like okay, like he's gonna actually get Homelander to do something that he wants, and well, we were wrong. Homelander is that far gone. He's that crazy. He literally killed his one weakness, and then at that point, you're just thinking to yourself, like, wow, you just cannot stop Homelander. Like, there's nothing you can do. Billy lost.
I really thought you were about to say Homelander is that guy.
No.
No, but I think Andres, what you're saying, like I think that's like they have the one weakness, but then like they keep bringing up his weaknesses over the season, and it's really cool to see because they kind of like deconstruct Superman in a sense and just kind of be like, oh yeah, he does have weaknesses, and they're actually like really bad character flaws. Like he might not have any physical weaknesses, but he is as flawed as a character as it comes.
Oh yeah.
So I think I don't have anything else on my like season 1 list of things like I found really interesting. Translucent, it would have been more cool to see like what he could have done like being invisible, but like again, I love the introduction to Frenchie when he's like, yo, what we can do is we can shove a bomb up his butt, blow it up, he'll die. And then like again, you get the whole thing with the Deep where like they hide his pieces of skin like underwater in a chest, and he's like, the fish told me where it was.
Yeah.
And it's just like the whole time, and like we'll keep going back to this, like the Deep
He's
The
so
Deep has
weird.
The Deep has some of the weirdest stuff he says because like it's always like revolving around fish, and he's having like at some point he's having like sex with an octopus and like or a squid. He's eating Timothy and getting like the ink all over himself and whatnot. So just like there's constantly these moments where like you're just shocked with what the Deep is doing.
He's something. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
he is something.
What a character. But now we're gonna move into season 2. Because I think season 2, like I think wait, we'll start right here before we go in. What is everyone's season ranking? Because mine is 1, 2, 3 from the bottom. So I think 3's best season. I think 2 and 1.
Completely agree.
No, same.
I think
Okay,
the
yeah.
show is I would say like kind of like the opposite of like the general CW shows.
CW shows.
As you go on, it's an upward trend. As you go on, it gets better and better. And that is in regards to this whole season itself and the endings too of the season, I'd say.
No, each season finale was solid because it's like it wrapped up the loose ends from whatever happened that season almost, but it
With
still kept
something
you
new.
real. But yeah, it introduced something like the end of season 1. Oh my God, Homelander just killed his only weakness. What is he about to do? He has nothing left to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's like, well, then we find out later on he has his like fan base and ego left to lose, but whatever.
Mm. I think I could be convinced that season 2 is better than season 3, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I think generally speaking, 1 is the weakest season, and that's not a bad season at all. They're doing so like they have so many. And we'll get into this a little bit when I say like things I don't like about the show, but and it's not really that bad. But like they have a lot of characters, so they have to introduce everyone. I mean, they have literally they call it the 7. They have 7 superheroes on their group. So automatically you need to be introduced like 7 superheroes. And then they have the boys, which is like a group of 4 people. So you have 4 people that need to be introduced there. And then throughout the seasons, you constantly add people. So like the character list, and we saw it when we ranked on our tier list Tuesday, there's a ton of characters, even characters that like there's a ton of relevant characters. And they had to spend a lot of time to do that. And in season 1, they had to do a ton of work to just introduce you to characters. And that, not that it's a bad thing. But definitely I think is a little bit of a reason why season 1 is not as good as season 2 or 3.
Yep.
So instantly season 2 starts and you have Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad enter, and which I think is super cool because like he was born to play like the devious like
Always.
side role, like devious like head of the company, like head of the drug ring. Like he was born to play that role, and he kills it as Stan Edgar.
He's awesome.
100% agree.
Yeah. Like just as like, cause I don't think we met him at all in season 1. And then like in one of the first scenes, he's just there, like the head of Ott. And I really like that. And then again, right off rip, kind of like you kind of get introduced to Stormfront, and I think Stormfront is like a great, like, okay, awful person, awful person. I was just saying that, but a great character. Because our introduction to Stormfront is like she's essentially her and her marketing team are making memes out of her. And people on Twitter are eating that up, and I think it is so funny because again, that's kind of like I think season 2 and 3 do a good job of like knock on modern politics, especially right wing politics, of like they're making memes about like completely fake stuff, and like everyone's eating up Stormfront. Everyone loves Stormfront, and I just like the introduction is great. We'll get into like the mystery a little bit, but like what was everyone's like thoughts on like Stormfront like in the beginning, like before we knew that she was a Nazi?
Just go ahead.
Unfortunately, I mean, at first I was like, I saw her, I'm like, she's gonna do something. There's something about her that's like weird. They're like waiting to review it, and then of course Jacob, he had to say something. He's like, pay extra careful attention to who she is. So of course, like I already had my doubts about her, but then we see them go meet that one lady who was like, oh yeah, I forget what her old name was before she turned into Stormfront, but
Liberty.
But if you think about it, the hints were there. Stormfront, like kind of with like the Nazi party with their whole like they kind of have like a storm thing. I don't know. Blitzkrieg, yeah. And it's like the color of her outfit too. Like the hints were there at the start, like that she, was not had something to hide, and like. I'll admit, like, I thought she was a pretty good addition as a character up until, I found out she was a Nazi. But, like, I liked her character because I also thought, I'm like, huh, we finally have a someone who wants to like stand up to Homelander. Maybe she might actually like join the fight against him. Who knows?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like my first impression. Okay, she's a hot shot in the boys in the 7 that doesn't really care about, like, she's not intimidated by Homelander at all. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I don't know where we'll go with that, but there were definitely somewhat subtle indicators of her Nazism, like when she had that one-on-one conversation with A-Train, if you remember, she made like a little comment about like certain people not being good enough or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's a little off. Let's see.
But that was pretty late. Like I don't think there were really any good indications of Stormfront being a Nazi until at least episode 4, episode 5. It was like
when
pretty well
Kimiko's
concealed.
brother. That's when I would say. That's when it was like.
When she killed like a whole impoverished minority apartment complex. Like that was like wow. But
you could even believe that was just like Stormfront just didn't care about collateral at that point.
But then grabs Kimiko's brother and says, "You little yellow."
That was the big reveal.
That was a giveaway.
That was it.
No, but the thing is, like, there's no way for you to know that it's just collateral damage, sure. But like after finding out that about her, then you're like, okay, this all makes sense. Like, it all makes sense. And like you said, you brought up a good point, and they do a great job on like portraying right-wing politics and how they have like basically like early 2010s like Facebook memes with like right-wing figure, with that being Stormfront, and they did a great job with portraying that. I thought it was pretty accurate, and I mean, horrible person, my least favorite character in the show, but like objectively speaking, like she brought a lot to the show as a character for sure.
Yeah, because again, like Raj mentioned, like she's like willing to stand up to Homelander. She like loves Starlight because like Starlight is like not like the others, and like again, like the memes, like kind of right wing politics, also just politics in general. Like people like making a meme like Stormfront's awesome, and people are like, yeah, like put like that's facts, like truth, and get that in a little bit in season 3. But like I don't know, I just couldn't imagine like a better character they could have introduced to the 7 to make like season 2 happen. Like it was just like exactly the character they needed, because it just brought so much like life to the show.
Well,
and then again, you have like
why not the blind guy? Why not the blind guy who Homelander
the ears.
That also kind of added to Homelander's whole like
I forgot that happened.
His like whole ego thing about like protecting his like image.
Yeah,
and that was a rough. I could just like I could feel.
That was like, awful. It was terrible.
I could feel the pain.
Yeah, but no, I was gonna say like how Stormfront. We'll get into it a little later, but how I was saying she brought a lot to the show. She really did, because she was her like death later on. I think it was in season 3. Yeah, it was season 3.
Yeah,
that was the turning point for Homelander, where he just goes berserk. So she brought a lot to the show.
And then like kind of like again, timeline's a little all over the place, but you get introduced to like a little bit more of the situation here between Homelander, Becca, and Butcher, and you eventually see that like Becca's not willing to leave Ryan, which I think brings a really cool aspect to the show of like Becca doesn't want to leave her son, obviously, but Becca also not want to leave her son because she does not want him to end up like Homelander. Like she is so concerned. Like she was raped by this guy. She sees the bad person he is. She is so concerned that he will end up like Homelander. And I think it's like a really cool element to see, like kind of like, especially like with like, and they kind of bring it up a little bit, like the adoption centers, and I think it's season 3 when Starlight and Huey might adopt a child, like they're bringing it up a little bit, like they don't want to leave this person without a parental figure, which I thought was cool. I thought it added a good little element
for sure.
And additionally, you kind of see that deal there where like Homelander promises he's not going to hurt Butcher if he can see Ryan, and it kind of again sets in motion like Homelander trying to like get in touch with his son, and it kind of leads to his downfall, but also like turns Ryan by the end, and we'll see where that goes in season 4. We also meet Grace Mallory in season 2, and this gets in a little negative. I never really bought into Grace Mallory as a character. Like I think nothing. So that was like one of the characters that just like it never felt right to me. Like I didn't know enough about her. I didn't know her motives. I was always confused. Like it felt like she was forced in certain scenes, and then I feel like kind of like that kind of lived up to its expectation, because in season 3 I felt like Grace Mallory was always like just at home watching Ryan. Like she didn't have a prominent role, so I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on like Mallory as a character.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. Like, she's a very vague character in a way. I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but her motives in wanting to stop the Seven is that the whole lamplighter situation, or at least that was like a catalyst in that. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
no, I think the lamplighter thing happened before. I think she formed the boys before lamplighter.
Oh yeah. So, but
there's
I
that
guess,
scene.
yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, actually, you are right.
Oh no. She formed the boys because of what happened in, I think it was Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that they at least did. Like, at first, I completely agree. Like, her being a character just doesn't leave the best taste in your mouth. Not 'cause she's a bad character. Well, not 'cause she's like someone you dislike, but also like we don't know a lot about her. So I do appreciate that they at least did give us that whole Nicaragua sequence. Hopefully we can get a little more information on her. But yeah, no, I completely agree in that she doesn't bring too much to the table because, like, as far as we're pretty familiar with the characters, Billy is the one. He's the leader of the whole thing. Like, Grace is like kind of there but sitting in the background, but he's the one leading the charge.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think I just think that Mallory's in an awkward situation where like she's not the lead. She like made the boys. She's not like, I think they kind of put her character in because they wanted to like show how the boys were formed, like how they like initially got together. But like honestly, it wasn't a question I was asking. I really didn't care.
Yeah,
I was just like, but you know some people. And what we have not it's not on my list right now, but we have not talked a lot about Frenchie. Frenchie's a great character.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
But he's involved in like very little of like the big plot lines. Besides ultimately, like he's always the character that is just like turning Kamiko in the right direction. But again, he has like no like really big plot lines. Like he doesn't make this list of big plot lines, but he is such a great character.
Yeah, he is. I loved like, I don't know about how you guys feel, but I loved the whole side plot with him and Kimiko. I thought that was awesome because she's like this escapee from a terrorist organization, and she like is closed off to everything and everyone, and he brings out the light in her, and he makes her like actually become like an actual human being again. Yeah, and like I thought that was really cool. Like he's such a likable character, which in the boys there's not many because they're all so morally corrupt. Even he has his moral corruptions, but not as much as the others. And like, yeah, I totally agree. He's such a very likable character, and there's not really much to dislike about him.
Well, Roger's kind of mentioning themes earlier. He's like the antithesis to Butcher in a way, because like Butcher is very like F that person, like we don't need them anymore, and that's kind of what he's willing to do with Kamiko. He's like, she's a soup, like we gotta kill it. And then Frenchie's like, no, like she's a human being. Like I was in her shoes once. So again, little great things there. And then we kind of, going back to season 2, Compound V being leaked to the media is kind of like a catalyst towards like the plot. Like we kind of had stuff going down the line, but once Starlight leaked Compound V, that pretty much like set everything in motion, because that required Stan Edgar to respond, and just like a whole line of things happened because of it. And that also happened because Starlight blackmailed A-Train because of the pop claw situation. So again, like some of the stuff this show has is there's a lot of blackmail, because they like events happen in season 1 and they refer them back as like blackmail. Like, oh, you remember when you OD'd your own like girlfriend? Mm-hmm. Like, I have that on video. I will use that if you don't do what I want to do. And again, it shows like the corruption of Vought, where like all the Seven is constantly blackmailing each other all the time.
Yeah. That is so funny. And like, yeah, that's always like how you gain leverage over a 7 member in the show. It's just blackmail. Mm-hmm. And another thing I wanted to talk about, I think it was in season 2 with you guys, was Victoria Newman. What thoughts? And just on her as a character, and then eventually the big reveal.
I don't know what she's planning.
I love Newman. I think like she's the Stan Edgar of like, but on like a lower level trying to gain power, and I think it's really cool. Like she's concealing her suit powers because like she knows that will like compromise her chances in like government. But again, I don't know what she's up to. Like if by the end of season 4 she was actually like she didn't really want to be a soup, but she was just like doing what she needed to do to rise to power, I would totally believe it. Like, because like she's totally killing this president candidate, like Singer, Rob Singer. I think he's running for president.
Yeah.
Like, he's totally like Newman's the president. Like
that guy's a dead man.
Yeah, he's gone. So I think like I wouldn't be shocked if she was completely good and she was just like a double agent to get what she wanted, but I also wouldn't be shocked if she got to power and like went full like Homelander. So like you don't know what she's doing, but she's like likable enough in the scenes that you're kind of like, I'm like low-key rooting for her still, like even though she's like kind of a bad guy at the moment, because like she's very likable.
Yeah. No, like what was your guys' reaction to her being known as her being revealed as the head popper? Because for me personally, I'm in a very small minority here. I genuinely had a feeling that she was the head popper because she always turned out to be at that location, always seemed to make it out, and like she seemed too like when I was at such an extreme anti-soup, I'd be like I was thinking to myself, okay, there has to be one little thing with that. If she's so anti-soup, honestly, it would make sense for her to actually be a soup.
I mean, I wouldn't say I was caught by surprise. I was just more like, oh, so that's the big reveal. Okay, let's see where this goes.
I knew she was the head popper before I even started watching the show. So
wow.
I watched season 2. I watched season 3 with you guys. His first 2 episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, oops. I already knew. But it's still like a little cool reveal, especially when she blasts off Tony's head. And you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
But again, I think Newman's like growing, like her upbringing, it really brings like interesting points. Like Stan Edgar adopts her.
Yeah, that was
like
a big twist.
Yeah, like kind of like pretty much, I don't want to say raises her for slaughter, but like raises her in his own devious ways. And then Newman ends up having a daughter, not Nadia. So I don't remember his daughter's name. But Newman ends up having her own daughter and ends up injecting her with Compound V. Which again, like it's a really interesting scene because the whole time, like Newman seems upset that she's injecting her own child with like Compound V, but it almost feels like she's doing it out of necessity.
Yes. Like
she's holding her, she's not like, she doesn't inject her child with Compound V and say, suck it up, you're going to be strong. She's like, the whole time she's like really upset that she's doing it. Which I think it's like, you don't know where that is going yet, but it's interesting again. Like, I almost feel like it's like a way of like, I'm giving you Compound V so you can be strong, so you can defend yourself. So I'm excited to see where she goes. She's definitely going to be like, she's like Stormfront of season 4. Like Stormfront took precedence in season 2. Soldier Boy took precedence in season 3. Newman is taking precedence in season 4. I believe.
Yeah.
Either her or Ryan, I'd say.
No, Ryan's there's a spin-off of The Boys with the kids.
That's right. Okay, yeah. I think it's
also like with a show that high profile, I would be shocked if they went to a child actor for like a majority of screen time.
That's valid.
Because like he doesn't have a lot of screen time, so like I'm not like trying to say he's a bad actor or anything, but like if you just give Ryan a ton of screen time, like you might just like lower the quality of your show.
Yeah.
But one thing we have to bring up in season 2 is the deep in the Church of the Collective, because we have some of the best one-liners, some of the most comical moments come from like the deep in the Church of the Collective, because it's all just like a bunch of like crap and like nice talk, and the deep is like not buying it, and then like suddenly he's like transformed and they like hook him up with Cassandra, his like girlfriend that like is pretty much keeping an eye on him, and it's just like all of it is so funny.
Here, have a Fresca.
Oh my gosh! I mean, yeah. I guess they really reeled him in with the idea that they could get him back into the 7.
But again, I think it's almost like I think they're doing it like a dig at like certain like groups in society, because like
absolutely.
It's the whole like positive talk. They were like, deep, like you're not allowed to like, you shouldn't have done that to Starlight. And he's like, at the beginning, he's like, why not?
Yeah.
And then like he kind of like comes around a little bit, but then like he's just he's like now he's like in season 3 he's like a better guy, but like not really. He's still like a jerk, but he's like nicer. I don't know. I feel like he more is like aware of himself, but then he just does more things because he's aware of himself. They have the whole time where like his gills are talking to him.
Oh my
and like, and then I guess we're gonna go ahead, but like at the end of season 2, or not even at the end of season 2, he gets on this whale to go stop everyone from
Oh
the
my
sea, and
gosh.
his whale gets run into by a speedboat and just like bursts, and it's just bleeding, and the Deep is on top, like pretty much crying because his whale.
That scene is outrageous. It's so funny.
I don't remember. It was like because the Deep was making his big return, and he just like fumbled.
And then there's Huey
Yeah.
who just gave up and just sat in the whale.
That was funny. I was like, that's good. I was like, that's disgusting.
He's just chilling in the blubber.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
All right, so yeah, we got like Stormfront is a Nazi, and I think it was really well. I think it was really well done because like she's a suit, but like, she's not aging, and she was like there initially for like Vought, and it would totally make sense for Frederick Vought, and it would totally make sense to me that a Nazi scientist would develop a compound V to make like their race like superior like race by injecting them with it. Like that totally like historically like makes sense to me. Like I bought like that reasoning for. I often like. If I don't buy a villain's reason for being a villain, I'm kind of like that makes the villain lesser. Like I totally bought like why Frederick Vought did what he did,
Absolutely.
and why he was a villain, and then why Stormfront has like been living like this time through.
Totally agree.
And then also I think it's an interesting dynamic because like Stormfront, they kind of brought it up a little bit in that episode. Stormfront like has lived a long time. Like she had her daughter and watched her daughter die. It's like a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
Like, if you live that long, like you are still young, but you like raised your own daughter and stuff. So it was cool. And then we eventually figure out that she's using Compound V on adult trials. And I think that's when we meet Lamplighter. And again, I think Lamplighter was kind of a little bit of an L character because like they brought up some parts about him, but like ultimately he just wasn't there long enough. Like I actually like kind of dug him for like the time that we had him. Like I thought he was a cool character. But ultimately like they just kind of like introduced him and killed him off pretty quickly. And I think it would have been cool to see him do some good things, but you're rocking with Lamplighter?
And I thought he was kind of mid, to be honest. I didn't like. Obviously, he had like the whole like Mallory storyline, but like I don't know. He was just when we got to know a little more of him, like in the present time, it was just he had a porn addiction and then just like didn't really do anything after that. Just killed himself and. That was that. Like I wasn't too big on him. Like yeah, we had like the whole like adult like kind of test trial like with the Compound V, but I don't know. I didn't really think he brought too much, and like his death isn't really gonna impact the future of the show in any way.
It's just more about tying up loose ends.
Well, I think they used his character as a way to develop Frenchie's backstory.
Okay,
with his friends and the ODs and stuff.
Of course, yes, yeah.
But I don't know, when you use like a character such as Lamplighter to like not like he doesn't really have his own thing he stands on, he's just standing on like he's just there to give Frenchie's backstory. It just kind of felt like a little bit like, wow, this big character we talked up for like the entirety of season 1 because they kept bringing up Frenchie and Lamplighter and whatnot. And then I guess we're going to talk about it now. It's on the list, but like MM to this point, is like Mother's Milk is like. Again, like I don't know why they call him that.
Yeah, I don't know the context.
But he's like he doesn't have any big plot lines really, but he's just always there and he's always like the good guy. Like he's like the guiding soul. Like he doesn't do anything bad. So I don't know. He's just like a great like perfect side character.
You have to add that little stipulation of he doesn't have any big plot lines yet because in season 3 we get a lot more context in his backstory. Yes.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, and MM I will say is one of my favorite characters for multiple reasons. Like I loved his storyline in season 3, and also like I think he's the most morally just character in the show.
Oh, 1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe Starlight's close.
Yeah, but yeah, she's close, but just with all the blackmail and stuff, I guess I think MM takes the edge. Yeah.
And then kind of flying through the rest of season 2. We have A-Train gives dirt on Stormfront, and that's what leads to like them revealing her as a Nazi. I like seeing her lose it when it's discovered that she's a Nazi. Like she's like completely in denial that like she has been revealed for like the like scumbag person she is. And again, A-Train's doing this because he wants to like be back in, and like he kind of feels guilty. So it just like complicates his storyline. And then best fight in the entire show is Kamiko, Starlight, Maeve throwing down with Stormfront. That was like such a cool fight.
I loved that. It was so satisfying just seeing Stormfront just getting her ass kicked.
Mm-hmm. Again, haven't talked about Maeve up to this point, but Maeve is a great character as well.
Yes, yes, and she definitely. I think as the show went on, she really redeemed herself in many ways. Like not in terms of being like, oh, she became a better objective character, but like more better in like of like the fan, like a fan liking her and her like just being liked. I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we have Ryan who kills Becca, which is crazy. Like just and Stormfront, but like eventually. Actually, no, Stormfront doesn't die.
Yeah.
But like takes down Stormfront, kills his own mom, and that was another like what moment. I was like, they just killed off like our main character Butcher's like love of his life. Ryan killed his own mom, and it's because he couldn't control his powers. And you're just shocked because like Becca just bleeds out, like just dies right away.
Like the endings are crazy, but like at that point, I was like, oh my god, they got rid of Billy's like main reason wanting to end the 7. Like at that point, Billy had gotten done by Homelander twice in the sense that he sexually assaulted his wife, and also the product of that their kid killed his wife. Like wow, that was like at that point I was like,
it's a tough look.
Yeah,
personally, if I was Billy, rough. I wouldn't take that. But that's just me.
yeah, no, but like at that point, I was sitting there like, oh my god, Billy is the driving like force behind the boys, and he just lost his main reason. What is going to happen now? Like, is he going to lose it? Like, I was just like, I was at the edge of my seat. I needed to watch season 3 at that point. I was just wow, like that was an insane ending.
Yep, and for the most part, he does lose it because going into season 3, it is all like pretty much everyone just doing like whatever it takes, doing what like it goes completely like season 3's tone is like completely like people are kind of playing conservative in the beginning. Season 3's wild. And what's interesting about season 3 is you start off and it's been like a year since season 2. Like it has been a long time. Like not for us, but like for like the characters because they've been like pretty chill and like things are tame. Stormfront's like not dead, which that changes. Like if Stormfront doesn't kill herself, that changes everything. Because that's what, again, I think Anders, you had pointed out earlier, that's what like set Homelander over the edge. So like that little detail of like her just being like pretty much incapacitated and then deciding to kill herself, that changes so much.
Yep. So
then this season 3 is Soldier Boy season. And we had heard the name a little bit in season 2, and it was good to finally like see him. And this is when really Soldier Boy and Mother's Milk kind of have their moment to shine. This is MM season. But again, Billy is on his own mission because he's pissed, given like
rightfully
for good
so.
reason. Yeah, rightfully he's pissed.
Rightfully
so like you actually see like the fissure of the boys. Like you see Huey for the most part. You see Huey and Butcher go one way, and you see MM, Frenchie, Kamiko, and eventually Starlight go another way. But it shows kind of like people have other interests. Like they weren't working together as a team. So I think it was just a really interesting dynamic. We get introduced to Temporary V, which is a cool concept, but like kind of cheap, not gonna lie. Like it definitely felt like a little fan service to me, but
I fell for it. Like I enjoyed it. Like I know Billy, like, it was interesting to see Billy kind of go against all his morals and just all his beliefs in doing it, but you have to think about it. It kind of makes sense. He lost like everything. So
he has nothing left to lose.
Yeah, so like and that was his only chance at getting that full closure of having a chance of taking down Homelander. And like I told it to Raj or someone before it happened, like I have a feeling that his Temp V power will be exactly Homelander because they're ultimately like kind of two sides of the same coin in a way.
They are. Like, they draw parallels all the time between both of them.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, that would make sense. And what do I know? That exactly happened, and I thought that was awesome. Yeah, kind of fan servicey, but man, I fell in love with that. I loved it.
I did also get sick of the Huey losing his clothes when he was teleporting stuff. Like it got old. And I think they did that because they didn't want people being like, "Oh, it's not realistic for your clothes to like not follow you and you teleport, but like I did get sick of it after a while. I was like, all right, like enough of the gag. But that, and then I feel like here they did a lot of political things in season 3, but they did it really well. You have Homelander essentially, like, I'm just gonna say it, pulling a Donald Trump, saying, like, spewing just like random crap about anything. Just like, this is America. Just right-wing politics whole way through. Like, it was so obvious, like, America. And then you have Todd, like the blind follower,
exactly,
who's eating this up.
Yep.
And like, it's just like, it was really funny. And you're just like, couldn't believe he's like, Starlight's corrupt, and you're just like, what? Like, that's not true. Like, you're awful. So I thought that was funny. And you have the whole thing with Blue Hawk.
Oh my god,
my Lord.
which was a heavy topic, but Blue Hawk is the worst, like the worst, because his apology speech, again, I think it's a knock on right wing politics, like, was horrendous, because they're asking him why he's patrolling the black neighborhoods, and he's like, well, the most crime happens there, and then like he says one other thing, and then he keeps like coming back to the mic to like defend himself instead of just being like sorry, and then he ends up lashing out, and like, I don't know, it was like very like representative of like the climate of today's like social movements, and I think they did it really well, and they represented it well in the show. But it also contributed again to A-Train's like continuous arc,
Yes.
which is like was cool. Because again, even after all of that, he wasn't able to stand. Like, he wasn't able to stand with it. Because his brother says that after he gets paralyzed from Blue Hawk, he's like, you killed him. Like, we wanted to see him locked up, and you decided you need to go kill him. So I thought that was like a really cool symbolism in the show.
For sure. And I think that the addition of his character also it had like more of a significant addition to the show, because he makes you kind of sympathize with A-Train. Yeah, because at that point in the show, like, A-Train's just this cocky, very flamboyant speedster, and you don't really like him. But I don't know, that little mini Blue Hawk arc really it makes you sympathize a little bit, I will say, at least for me.
I can see that. Yeah, no, it kind of humanizes A-Train a little more from that first scene you see him in.
It did, but it almost still felt like when he was talking, like, he was like, when he talked to his brother, you see like he just keeps saying like, his brother's like, you shouldn't have killed him, and A-Train's like, what do you mean? Like, I did that, like, I did this like for you, I got like revenge, and he was like, it's just like, no, I wanted to see him locked up, and you just like lashed out, like, you did this for yourself, not for like everyone. And that's kind of what he's doing. A-Train's out for himself the entire time, which is his big downfall. That kind of concludes his plot for the whole entire thing. We're kind of flying through a little bit, kind of to keep these episodes around an hour. But this would not be a review if we didn't talk about episode 6 of The Boys season 3, Herogasm.
Oh my god!
After the entirety of The Boys, all like the weird like, termites crawling in some other dude's penis, after all of that stuff, you get Herogasm, which is just an outlandish episode. Like, just even the name is outlandish, and then the things that happen within the episode are crazy. But just like the place at which this event takes, like the place that like all this drama goes down is just ridiculous. Like, so if you're not familiar with the show and you're still listening, Herogasm is a bunch of superheroes pretty much just having like a big orgy like the entire day.
Yeah.
Or it might be like a week. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh my, it's so outrageous. But I will say that my favorite fight in the show was in that episode.
Oh, the Homelander.
It was great.
Yes. The
great.
Homelander, Butcher, Huey versus Soldier Boy, or
And they get this
Soldier
close.
Boy.
Yeah.
It was.
They get
right
this
there.
close.
It was like a parallel to the Thanos moment in Infinity War, where they're about to take the gauntlet off.
But no, I thought like just like Herogasm out of all things was just like, it's funny. I think you see Termite there again. But then you kind of you have these moments with MM again where like Starlight snaps him out of it because like Homelander's there and he's like, Starlight's like, they need help. Like, all these people out on the lawn who just got blasted, like, they all need help. And like you see kind of MM's like the true moral compass, like good guy, goes out and helps everyone and leaves Soldier Boy back. And we haven't talked much about Soldier Boy at this point. Soldier Boy is like a cool character. Like he's super strong. He comes out of the ice or out of the nerve agent. And he's a man out of time a little bit. Super strong, but again, messed up. Like he's smoking all the time. It's funny, at one point they have him on weed because like they just don't want him to have like PTSD and like blow something up. So he's just on weed for like the entire episode. And then again, another funny scene is when the Deep and Ashley decide that they need to move Maeve. So they like they don't guard her at all. They just like put her with some regular gas, and then Maeve breaks out, and then like Homelander finds us out, and you could just see like I felt like I was like, what the hell's gonna happen? Because like I just knew Homelander was gonna be so pissed at the Deep, and of course it was the Deep. Like out of all characters to screw that up, the Deep doing it was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we're gonna get to my favorite character in The Boys, Black Noir. Like his little arc, like the best thing about Black Noir is he doesn't say anything the entire show. He's just always there, and he's like loyal. He nods, he goes and does things, like he's badass and whatnot. But I loved his little arc. Like I don't know, I felt like it showed so much about his character. Like I don't know why it resonated with me so much, but I thought it was great.
I was genuinely sad when he died. I was genuinely sad.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like that those few minutes of just his like innocence as a result of the like traumatic brain injury. Like that just makes you like so like I was so sad. Like I was like, oh, he's such a he's not really wholesome, but like he's wholesome. Like that part of him is wholesome. And like I was like, oh man, wow. Like I was genuine. Like that might have been the saddest death in the show for me.
Yeah, no, that was that. I was just like, as soon as the scene was coming up, I knew the plot and the character did and everything. I saw where it was going, and I'm like, oh no, he should not have gone back.
Well, I think like they have the little moments where like the birds are next to him. They're all saying that they're proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know, I just like hit a nerve. I was just like,
yeah,
that like I was like that man, like this character had been like bad the whole time that we just like assumed like he's just like a bad character. He's just sitting there in silence, and he's got like so much depth to him, but he just can't express it because he suffered a traumatic brain injury. And yeah, no, I just thought it was, and then he dies, and it's just like unfortunate because he dies at the one person that he like followed for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then it's great when like you start seeing Homelander's weaknesses, and he finds out that Soldier Boy is his dad. Which again, totally believed it.
I have a theory on this though. So
yeah.
Think about this. So Soldier Boy was the sperm donor. Who do you think the egg donor was? Who do you think wanted to create a perfect human and a superior race with one person leading them?
You think it was Stormfront?
I think Stormfront was the egg donor, and Stormfront is Homelander's mom.
I don't know, because that would be funny. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Stormfront. They say that Soldier Boy was trying to get the Reds. That's what they kept saying, the communists. And that was like 1970s, 1980s, and then Stormfront was around in the 40s for World War II.
But she was with Vought and all them still. So she could have been around. She could have been around at the time. You never know.
And he does have a mommy kink.
Exactly.
Okay, it's not a bad theory.
We're getting theories down here on the Washed Athlete podcast. But that would be crazy. But yeah, and then my favorite moment is when Soldier Boy tells Stormlander that he wouldn't want to be his dad because Homelander's a you-know-what. Like, and it's just a great line because then it just throws down. You just see Homelander's broken at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to be loved so bad. He starts having like the when he's in the mirror and he's like losing it. And whatnot. And there's like trying to erase a little part of human that's left of him. And Homelander is just devastated by the fact that Soldier Boy like pretty much just calls.
Yeah.
Like he just loses it.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes down into this like big fight. And it's cool to see Huey at the end get his arc of turning on the lights for Starlight instead of like taking some V and running in. Although I gotta be honest here, I don't know if anyone felt this way. It was a big fight, and Starlight was like was floating in that air way too long. Like she
oh yeah,
she totally should have gotten clapped.
Yeah, I don't know how she didn't get melted.
No, they dragged that for sure.
Like I just don't think they need like I think they could have just like had him turn on the lights really quickly and start like just kind of absorb it all and just like blast it out really quickly. I just felt like it was way too drawn out.
However, with that fight though, one thing, Maeve, like her redemption arc was completed with that fight, completely redeemed.
And that's on the
Maeve
list because
I think Maeve had Homelander like by the throat at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, she put a pencil through his like brain.
It was like a metal rod. It was like, and no, I completely agree. Maeve, like to see her just like twist her head around and just like jump out the window with him. I thought she was died. I was like upset. I was like this sad, but like it was a hero.
But this does show though that the power that he has, it won't kill a soup. It'll just take their powers away. So maybe he might come back. Maybe they might try to recreate it. Who knows? Yeah,
and that might be a part of a big part of season 4 because obviously we know that Soldier Boy is not dead. But yeah, Maeve,
Mallory Grace
character. Yeah, that was another twist.
What?
I mean, it is CIA. It makes sense. The CIA also hates like Vought.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's gonna spin the CIA to kind of be like they're gonna try to like pretty much like they're gonna do shady stuff, kind of like what Vought did or the Russians did, and they're gonna try to like poke and prod Soldier Boy to figure out how his like what his power is, how it raises suit powers, and they're gonna try to get Homelander to lose his powers. So and then again, end of the scene, like you kind of see how messed up everything is. Homelander blasts a liberal like right in the head with his laser beams, kills him on the spot. People are cheering, and Ryan is in the back smiling,
and he's enjoying it. Yeah. Now we have 2 Homelanders on our hands, but no, I mean, like that ending with Grace Mallory, like this adds to her character. Like what we don't know what she wants to do with having Soldier Boy. Like this is it leaves a lot of questions.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of like just like a big rundown of the show. Again, like some wild stuff that's happening. Before we head out, I wanted to get everyone's. Before we end, Terror. I forgot to mention Terror, and I'm sorry about it. Terror is the best dog ever. The fact that Butcher named his dog Terror was absolutely comedy to me. Like I didn't expect it to come, and then I saw this dog. I was like, oh, that's a cool dog. And then he was like, he was like, what's up, lad? And he kept calling him Terror, and I was like, this is great. Like this is totally Butcher.
Yes,
it felt so on brand.
Absolutely. Where did I have him in my tier list? I definitely had him up there.
Terror's S tier.
I had Terror in my high tier too.
I had Terror in my. I moved him to B, but I had him in A. But yeah. But I'm a big Terror guy. I will say.
No, Terror is legendary. I just like the name. It's just great. Before we head out, I want to get everyone's favorite character, or like just a character you like a lot that might not be mentioned, and then least favorite character or character you hate the most.
Okay.
So my favorite character is Stormfront now. It's actually the Deep now. My favorite, I gotta say, it's probably gonna be. I don't know. There's a lot up there.
That's not an answer.
I know. I'm thinking.
I feel like I'd know who you'd like, but I guess not.
I don't know.
I thought you would have said Billy, but I guess not.
Billy's up there, but I'm also debating between like Black Noir too. Like,
yeah, no, he's up there for me, but not my favorite.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably Billy. And least favorite, Stormfront. Come on, she's a Nazi.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the worst.
Like, by principle, she is.
Yes, like yeah. My favorite is he's been my favorite throughout the entirety of the show, and I really like he solidified that spot in season 3. I think like getting his backstory in season 3, it's such a like you're really rooting for the guy. You're rooting from season 1. He's the morally right guy. He's always wants to help people, and then in season 3, like man, that just got amplified tenfold, 1,000-fold. When I found out his backstory and like, wow, like why he has OCD, everything. Like, I think he's just a great guy. I love his character, how has that whole like wanting to spend time with his daughter, or like little storyline. Like I always rooting for no matter what. I'm a ride or die with So he's definitely my favorite character. And then least favorite, Stormfront as well, because she is the worst. Her comments, her just personality, just awful. I hate her so much with every fiber of my body. She is the worst. Like, I'm glad that she's gone now.
Yeah, so favorite character, I'm going to go with Black Noir. I said it earlier. I don't know how they managed to make a character. It shows how good they are. They managed... What?
No, you're right.
No, it's funny how it's a character that how he's like
speak.
a top. Yeah,
he
he's
doesn't
one
speak.
of our favorite characters.
He doesn't speak at all. He like he doesn't even do anything. He just like goes on missions, like side missions, and is just like there in the corner. And then in season 3, they give him like a little bit of an arc with like these goofy like these animals that just like follow him around that are cartoons, and everyone likes him. Like I don't know, I think it's common knowledge that people like Black Noir, and it's just like he's got a stupid name. He doesn't talk at all, and he's just a great character. I just like he makes me happy when I see him. I'm just like this guy.
Yeah.
And then even Homelander at the end, like he gets like he's upset when like Black Noir like takes out his chip. He's like, I could trust that guy. And then he comes back and he's like, I always knew I could trust you, Black Noir. I'm like, this guy is loyal as hell. Like I was hyped about it. And then least favorite character. I mean, Stormfront's a bad character. Like really wrong. I'm gonna go with A-Train. I don't want to copy you guys. I'm gonna go with A-Train. I think he could be up for a redemption arc, which would be fun, and I'm excited to see it. But A-Train is like, he's actually like, I don't know, he's just like, he's not true to himself at all. Like, at least like some of the other characters that are bad are like true to themselves. Like A-Train, like I think he has good inside of him, but he cares so much about what other people think about him that it like drives everything. Like he kills Popclaw because he doesn't want people to know that he has a drug addiction. When his own brother gets assaulted, like gets pretty much like hate crimed by Blue Hawk, he like doesn't do what he should do. Like he just like kills him. And then he's upset like that. I keep forgetting his brother's name. But he's upset that that his brother isn't happy that he killed him. And it's just like, he doesn't get it because he's like so concerned about his own self-image. And then even like, he wasn't like willing to stand up to Blue Hawk, like at that podium, like at that event, he was just kind of like, okay, let's leave. Like he didn't like confront him or anything. Just shows like how much he cares. And again, like on the earlier stuff, like he just like he cares about how everyone thinks about him. Like he ran through Robin, and then in that moment he was all like shocked, and then like you see in the back he's like joking about like swallowing a moral alert. He's just an ass, and he just cares about how other people perceive him, and I don't like that. So, but I will say, and we'll go quick round table. Best character in the show, I think like best characterization. I think Stormfront is best, most well done character because like you hate her so much, and her coming into season 2 like added so much energy to the show. Like seasons like, and then again, I liked her in the beginning of season 2. Like I thought the whole meme thing was like really cool, like refreshing energy. Like she was kind of like rooting for Star, like yeah, like screw Homelander and whatnot. And then by like season 6 in the episode, like in the season by episode 6, you hate her guts, and then you're excited when she's getting like smacked down in the last episode, season finale. So say best character goes to Stormfront. What about you guys?
No, I agree with you on that. She was very well done as a character.
It was. Oh man, I do agree with that, but best character like that. I mean,
I would also say Homelander's up there.
Homelander's definitely up there. Yes, absolutely. Because that is a good question. Like
yeah, and we can sit here and do themes all day about like that come up in the show. Like I know Raj had some themes that he brought up earlier, and that he has on like we have our little notes on over here. But like one of the things with Homelander is like strongest dude in the world, most powerful soup. He has so many weaknesses. Like you could break him down so easily.
Yeah.
With these things, it's kind of just like everyone has a weakness. Everyone needs like help in a sense.
Yeah. Another character that I hated was Ashley. She is the worst. All she cares about is moving up in VOT and maintaining that image. She doesn't care about any morals or anyone's feelings. All she cares about is moving up in VOT, and she is so annoying. Like when Maeve called her out on that, like saying, "Just be a human." Like I needed that. Like thank God that was said. Like I needed to hear that.
Yep. Well, does anyone have anything else they'd like to say about the boys before we hang up this long-awaited pod?
Oh yeah, Justin, I'd like you to gargle my.
Okay.
Soldier Boy 2022.
All right. So anyway, that is going to be the end of this episode of the podcast. Like I said, this is not a mainline episode of the podcast. We're just going to upload this separately as The Boys review. But again, our college schedules are busy, so we're going to kind of like do episodes week by week, but we couldn't carve out another time this week to do like 2 episodes. So we hope you all enjoyed. If this is your first time watching the Watch Athlete podcast, welcome. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. Check out some of our other content. We do Tier List Tuesdays every day over on Instagram. The link to all our socials is down in the description. Use code WASH20 at buckdop.com, and we will see you next time.
Go Kenny Pickett.